So how did I upgrade my pixel art? Let's take a look. Whoa, that's bad. Could be better. Now we're looking good. I've been working on my game for a while now, and along the way I've learned a lot about pixel art. So I wanted to share what I've learned and hopefully it's helpful for you. Whether you've just got into pixel art or you've been doing it for a while, I hope this video is useful for you in some way. I also have a few VODs on Twitch that you can watch if you want to see my live process. And with that said, let's go on with the video. Tip 1 is to start small, literally speaking. When I first started pixel art, I didn't make a jump to huge detailed sprites straight away. First I went tiny and tried to make small 8-bit sprites with a limited colour palette. With so few pixels and colours to work with, it really forced me to think about how I would indicate certain things, and the limitation helped bring out a sort of like creativity that I really enjoyed. This is a little Halloween game I made in a day or two after creating a bunch of pixel art for it that I was really happy with and I thought was really cute. You can see here with the sheet how many different little characters I could make just using 3 colours and slightly changing placements of things. Here's another sheet I made, again only using 3 colours, black, white and grey, for a little game I was working on inspired by Void Stranger in the past. It illustrates the same point that you can get a lot out of a little, and you can really add so much variation and personality in such a small amount of pixel real estate. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I think whether you're a new pixel artist or you've been doing it for a while, it's always really fun to work under these limitations. It really gets the creative juices flowing and it shows how amazing pixel art can really be. If you're having trouble coming up with your own designs, it could be helpful to check out existing designs of your favourite games and try to recreate it in your own little way. So you can see here I grabbed some pixel art from Pokemon Red and Blue and tried to fit them in a 16x16 grid, limiting myself only to 3 colours. It can be like a puzzle every time you try, but that's also part of the fun, and I think you'll realise just how clever and creative you can get. I really recommend giving this a try. I think you'll definitely get pixel art to click in your brain a bit better. Tip 2 is to keep perspective in mind. This is something I neglected to consider when I first did pixel art for my game. Notice how all my characters are very flat and directly facing the camera? I feel like we can do a little bit better. So you can see the old sprite, there's not much dimension to it, it's fairly flat, not too interesting, and the flatness takes away from the design too. It gives it a type of blandness that's hard to connect with, which is really bad for your main character. It's a bit like this flatly coloured square here, there's no light or shadow, no dimension. There's obviously light and information on the sprite I made, but it's not really selling it that well because everything's so straight on. In contrast, you can feel a lot more dimension with the new sprite. There's less of a straight on appearance, the face is more angled down because it's more of a top down perspective. Rather than the lines being straight, you can see the line go around the uniform. It's wrapping around the body and retreating more into the distance, so it's moving back in space. I think this cube drawing illustrates the point quite well. The cube's the same in each iteration, but just changing the lines inside, it completely transforms how you perceive the image. Or this image with the arms being foreshortened, you can see how the lines change on the arm when it's moving toward the camera or changing direction. I recommend heading over to drawabox.com. They have some free courses on how to do boxes in perspective, which can be really helpful. If you want to experiment with this yourself, you can start off with a box and make the top part lighter with the front part looking darker, and then copy paste it and make the other version smaller for the body, the hands and the feet, just to get a feel for it. If you get rid of the lighting to flatten it out, you can see the difference again, and that might make it click in your head a bit better as well. And if you're feeling up to it, you can test this out further by changing how much of the top face is showing and drawing the face further down to give the illusion that the head is turning. I also did this with a dice roll as well, just for fun. And here it is animated so you can see it in motion. You can also do this with the shadow parts, give it the illusion of also turning up. And here it is animated again so you can see that in motion. Once this feeling of depth and perspective gets in your head, you can experiment a bit more. You can play with the animation tool and add other body parts to your sprite, like the little feet I'm adding to the box here. Here he is jumping happily. He's jumping happily because he knows you'll press like and subscribe. And if you don't, he will never jump again. I also recommend giving isometric pixel art a go too. There's 2 great videos on this, one by younis called Pixel Art Class Isometric Tile Basics, and one video by Brandon James Greer called Modular Isometric Pixel Art Tutorial. Even if you're not doing any pixel art in isometric style or you're not working on any isometric style game, I still think it's worth at least giving it a try, just to build those pixel art skills more. I think prior to this video, I never actually tried to make a character in isometric style before, and I think it was a neat little challenge. It taught me a bit more about seeing pixel art in perspective too. Again, just working that pixel art brain. I actually really struggled doing the hair here. I'm sure you guys will fare a lot better than I did. I settled for kind of like a quasi-mohawk thing. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. I think I might try making a tactics game mock-up or something. Tip 3 would be to focus on texture. I'm currently working on a horror game called False Effigy, and I use texture a lot to sell the fact that the school that they're in looks abandoned. To be honest, I found texture really difficult at first. But I think there's some little things you can do to make your life a bit easier. You can head to Google and just search for a texture you want. You can copy and paste it into aseprite and just scale it down until it gets nice and pixelated. Then you can get rid of all the colours you currently have and then add colours back in grayscale value. As long as you have like 5 or 6 values, you should be good. Then you can go to sprite, color mode, and index. That makes it so that the only colors that show are the ones currently in your palette. That way it'll crunch the values and make it easier to extract inspiration for lines, shapes, and shadows. So here I'm just trying to look at the reference image and take a few lines and shapes from that. Also trying to take some shadow information and add a few cracks to the rocks. It can also be fun to copy and paste the texture and just put it directly over your pixel art, and then mess with the layer mode to see if you get anything interesting. Not the best texture in the world, but practice makes perfect. I'm going to try texturing this sink now to make it look more dirty and grimy. So I've got a reference photo from Google and just scaled it down a bit. I don't need to isolate anything specific this time, it's just there for reference. I select a dirt colour and begin putting down some strokes of dirt around the sink. After that I go to the blur tool in aseprite. I found this to actually be a pretty powerful tool if used sparingly, as it can easily get some values in between certain colours you put down, and I use it here to quickly get some colours closer to the existing sink colours. I went a bit overboard with the blur tool and I think the sink is too bright anyway, so I reset and bring down the brightness of the overall image before continuing. I go back in with some lighter colours and swap between dotting the texture around whilst also going back to the blur tool sometimes to get some of the values. I want to show you the full process I went through here because I think there's no shortcut to getting it exactly how you want it. It's more of a process of experimentation and figuring things out as you go along. Overall the time it took to do this was about 18 minutes, but I scrapped about 5 minutes of that due to going a bit overboard with the blur tool. It might not sound like a lot of time, but if you're texturing multiple sprites this can add up. Seems with pixel art there's this fine line between subtlety and being overdone in terms of texture. So I would ask for critique and feedback early and often, and if there happens to be any pixel art gods watching, I'd appreciate any feedback or critique in the comments, or you can hit me up on Discord if you want to. So here's where I ended up. I added a low opacity yellowish colour in the sink and added some light pixels there to indicate it's full of old water. I still think I have a long way to go with texture, but I feel like there's cases where I have improved, like with these floorboards, but I'm honestly still really terrible with rocks and grass and trees and things like that. So I'm bad at like 90% of what pixel artists end up doing for game art. Tip 4 would be to focus on silhouette. Where possible, I think it's important for your characters to be distinguishable from one another based on purely the silhouette. This is good advice for art, but also if you're developing a game too. It can be really important for the players to immediately recognise certain types of dangerous enemies, for instance. While making this video, I actually discovered an issue that bugged me about one of my characters, and I couldn't figure out what it was until I checked the silhouette. I realised I'd set up this cute rhythm in the front and back versions of the character with the hair buns, but the side profile doesn't highlight this at all. I think I was trying to logically place where the hair bun would be on the side of the head, but I suppose this is a bonus tip of the video, that it's okay to break logic sometimes to better serve the overall visual goal. Here I'm trying to reduce the size of the hair to get a better feel for how I think it should be. I'm using the silhouette as an aid because it makes it easier to see the overall shape. I copy and paste the shape of the hair bun and move it over to the side profile sprite so I can keep the same type of design rhythm and ensure it stays consistent. I overlay the silhouette of the hair on my sprite and erase the parts outside of the silhouette that I don't need anymore. Then I duplicate the silhouette and put it under the sprite so I can take the existing hair bun and move it until it's in line with the underlying silhouette. It feels much more appealing and cohesive to me now, so I really would try giving this a go yourself. So that's about it for the video. Hope it was helpful to you in some way. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you want more videos. And check out my devlog if you're interested in horror games inspired by the RPG Maker horror classics. My Discord server and Twitter are linked below if you want to keep up with me elsewhere, or if you just want to hang out and chat, that's cool too. I'll see you in the next video.